My name is Steve Smith. This is TQA Weekly. If ever you have any questions, comments, suggestions for topics, email me at ask@tqaweekly.com or drop them down below on YouTube. And of course, if you want to continue helping me bring this kind of show to you every single week, go to patreon.com/TQA Weekly, link down below on YouTube, and chip in $1 or more per episode. I do 4 to 5 per month. And today's topic is the origin of the Gigabit LAN. What makes 1,000 megabits per second LANs faster? What's the underlying technology? And how do we actually get a tenfold increase from the 10, 100, and 1,000 megabit per second Ethernet standards, the last one normally being called Gigabit Ethernet? So, if we exclude all the 80s and 90s when we used to connect to the world via telephone using phone numbers and periodically connecting to an ISP to use domain names, we can actually start looking at the DSL and cable modem revolution, which allowed us to have multiple computers in the house and gave us a reason to have our own private networks. When we started having our own private networks, we had to use Ethernet cables. The first popular one was a 10 megabit per second standard, which actually allows for voltage modulations of either positive or negative 2.5 volts to be sent over 2 of the 4 twisted pairs inside a category 3 cable. Keep in mind, you could use a category 5 cable at that time if it was available, depending on when you got it. And that only allowed for 10 megabits per second to be sent over the cable. And it's pretty easy to understand why when you only have 2 voltage modulations over 2 twisted pairs. Then we had the 100 megabit per second LANs, which required a minimum category 5 cable, still function over 2 twisted pairs. However, we actually started using 3 phases of voltage modulation: +1 volt, 0 volts, and -1 volts. This allowed for the actual effective speed of our cables to be tenfold, allowing for 100 megabits per second, still able to travel that same 100 meters. Now, what actually allowed us to go from 100 megabits to 1,000 megabits, but compromised the ability of using power over Ethernet, was the fact that we used a different kind of cable again. So you have to use an enhanced category 5 cable, or 5E if you prefer that. And instead of having 2 or 3 different voltage modulations, we use 5 different voltage states: +1, +0.5, 0, -0.5, and -1. Having 5 states instead of 3 states actually allows us to augment the amount of speed. However, what's different about the category 5E and 1,000 megabit standard LANs is instead of using 2 twisted pairs, we use 4 twisted pairs, which function bidirectionally, allowing for a 100-fold increase over the 10 megabit per second LANs that we used to have. And that actually allows us to have a lot more content sent faster over our home networks. Now, there are other standards beyond this, but our equipment in homes don't necessarily support it yet. But if you're interested in learning more, go to tqaweekly.com/SE6 EP10 and look at the sources and read on to the other sources and information available about these 3 and other future different kinds of Ethernet that we may eventually get at the same time. And don't forget to subscribe to my show, like or dislike, tell me why down below. Don't forget to go to patreon.com/TQA Weekly if you want to help me out with this show, and have a great day.